that is the one thing I do not like about our industry. You can always want to reach certain goals, but you should never look at somebody as such competition that you will do anything to drag them down.
Let's geek out about YouTube. I have one of my favorite people on the planet, Kristina Smallhorn. She is an absolute monster, has one of the best YouTube channels. Please go check it out. I'm in the real estate space, but what's more interesting than that is her story. So she had ran a channel and then got inspired by Daryl Eves, went to a summit and actually implemented the thing. On this show, we actually dive deep with people who are practitioners. And Kristina is somebody that has literally sent me thumbnails as I've been sitting in an RV and like shown me these little hacks that I've taken out to help build our two channels. And I feel like I'm like maybe a 2-stripe white belt. So I brought on a black belt. Kristina Smallhorn, how are you, my friend?
Good. I didn't know I don't know anything about sports. So what is a 2-striped
white belt? So
what is that?
In jiu-jitsu, there's different levels of belts that you get, right? So you got white, you got blue, you got brown, purple, brown, and then black. But you have to get 5 stripes per belt in order to progress to the next one. So when I said like a 2-stripe white belt, I feel like maybe I'm about to get my blue belt because I understand like some fundamentals. But YouTube is a journey, right? And you've been on it for quite some time.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, some of the fundamentals though that people think they need to know are not the fundamentals they need to know.
For sure, I agree.
Yeah. So like some people will tell me like, "Oh, you have to do this," and I'm like, "Who told you that? Where did you get that from?" Because I know that for myself, I used to do those things too because they said I had to do it. That was part of the building blocks of getting your videos found, which it wasn't true.
Oh, like in the beginning, like I can tell you things that I would spend hours on, and to even like, okay, search versus suggested, right? Let's just start there. Like I thought search was everything for me. I had to be SEO optimized, and you were actually the one that told me that suggested is kind of where you want to be. So can you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah. So, whenever you're starting off a channel, there's nothing wrong with being a search channel, especially when you're doing certain things, that like car mechanic stuff, things that people would follow in line, right? Almost every channel starts off as a search, but over time it's going to plateau. You're only going to hit so many marks until you finally you're never going to get to that, like the levels that I wanted to get to. You're only like, it caps off at some point. So, when I met with Daryl, he was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I use this keyword research tool, then I use this one, and then I line it up with Google Trends. Then I go into TubeBuddy and make sure I get a good score. And then I go into vidIQ, then Morning Fame and make sure all the things are green." He said, "How long are you spending on that?" I said, "Well, I spend the whole day because then I want to make a 350-word blog post." He's like, "What are you doing? We're going to give you a lot of your life back." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, you don't have to do any of that stuff." But I'm like, I like, and then when I took his course, I was so mad. Like, I just remember like going through like module after module and like literally being like so angry that how like you when you're talking, you sound like you're about to cry because you got that quiver in your voice. I was that mad. I'm like, I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm crying because I'm just so pissed that I spent so much time and all these tools that I was told that I needed to make my videos be found. This isn't even how it works. I was really, really, really angry because I mean, people that I trusted, trusted to give me the right advice. I don't even know if they know it's not the right advice. I just think that they're just repeating what they heard. And so it just goes down the line, like then it becomes truth, even though it's not,
It's a problem. I mean, even in the real estate space, right? I had a friend of mine reach out about a conference and I was like, yeah, you just need to look at the optics at which that conference is held. Like, is it a recruiting tool? Is it truly collaboration? Did the speakers pay to be there? Do the speakers do the thing they're actually coaching you on? Right. And I think that's where you and I align very much is I'm very careful about who I co-sign. I've taken down previous podcasts because I find stuff out after. You've been a repeat guest, which proves that, you are somebody that I've seen treat other people empathetically and give. And I think I wanted you to unpack something that you said when Daryl had that conversation with you and you're like, this is what I thought I needed to do. And he was saying, I'm going to give you your life back. Like what was the core component of what he taught you that gave you your life back?
Well, I was wasting so much time on those things because, I would film a video, but before I would film the video, like I said, I was doing all these things and I would spend the entire day trying to craft this perfectly orchestrated SEO rich cat tags and keywords and all this stuff. So
Yeah.
it all lined up together. So like once you put it in every little tool, it was like, I remember one time I got 100% and I'm like, when I uploaded this video, I'm like, this is it. This is the day. Like, I know that I have it because I went through all the tools. It told me that I was good. It's a perfect score. I got graded by all the tools and it's 100 all the way across. I upload this thing and I'm like, here we go. And I was just waiting, you know, an hour goes by and I'm like, okay, it's doing fine. And then it just did just as well as every other video I had put out there. And I knew that I had spent the whole entire Sunday doing this. Other than the live stream, I just wanted to make sure this one was perfect. I was almost like I was like trying to get the evidence, like, you know, like, because everybody had told me this works. All these speakers, all these coaches and everything, this is what we're supposed to be doing. How come I'm not getting views from this? What is going on? You know? And then when the whole reason I even met Daryl, he had a conference called Vid Summit. It's actually coming up in October.
Viper's the MC for that, right?
Oh, he has, there's Viper. Owen Video is MC for that. Actually, Viper introduced me when I did my speech there. I did my talk there.
He still runs Coffee Talk. Shout out to Viper on X now. He does it on, I think, 10 o'clock.
Every once in a while I'll pop in there. I kind of forget because I'm out of Twitter.
I do too. Yeah, for sure. But I like those guys. Like they're very giving as well too.
Yeah, they're super fun. But there was a video creation contest, and you had to make a video in order to win tickets to Vid Summit. And I was like, oh, all right. And my friend talked me into it and said, you're super funny. Just make a video, like a funny video. I'm like, I'm watching these people that were doing this like Peter McKinnon style, you know, with the drone shots and the epic
lifestyle, dun 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 dun, car driving in.
But no, they were heartstrings, you know, the little girl blowing on the dandelion, the whole 9 yards, like, and they were like Vid Summit. I'm like, oh, well, my idea is stupid. I'm not going to do it. My friend's like, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And I did infomercial. I did an infomercial like, have you ever thought your SEO game was garbage? You know, and like all this stuff. And I'd be like, click it and buy a ticket. That was the only thing I said in the whole entire video because I had my voiceover friend do all the other part where he's talking really fast. And the only thing I said the entire thing was click it and buy a ticket. He couldn't. Awesome. Daryl said he couldn't get it out of his brain. And he's like, it's first of all, it's super hard to be funny. And secondly of all, you pulled it off. And the one thing I can't get out of my brain is click it and buy a ticket. So he's like, you win.
That's amazing. I love Daryl. It's funny listening to him. He's a very curious individual. Like when you see the people he aligns himself with and kind of who he digs into, there's a natural curiosity he has where obviously like it's a business, but at the same time, like he's trying to unpack creators. And I read his book after your recommendation, The YouTube Formula, and it really changed. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. And it changed my perspective on YouTube. And it really highlighted the Find Your Frank story. And you said this in the previous episode of Prime People, but can you share what Find Your Frank means to my audience?
Yeah. So I win that contest. I take Daryl's course. And the one thing that I learned more than anything was I was making content for everybody. You know, Daryl calls it the sketty, like K, like it's spaghetti against the wall method, you know, like you're just making content because, you know, you're a real estate channel. But he said, start making content for one specific viewer. Who is that person? And you're going to find lots of those people. And so when I was making my avatar, it just so happened that there was all these people and they were named Frank. So I was like, all right. So I called him my Frank. And then every time I've talked to people is you need to understand who it is you're trying to target. You need to find your own Frank. Who is this person that's going to be watching your content? What other content does he watch? What is he interested in other than real estate? How can you tie that in with your content? Really dive into, you know, his political affiliations, find out, you know, what makes him tick, find out what his pain points are and address them in your real estate videos. And it's, like even with your storytelling, you're addressing some of the things that he probably is going through on a daily basis. And you just little nuances of that in your content itself, you're going to find hundreds of Franks like that. It might even be Francine, but you find lots of them, and that resonated with me. And I was like, okay, so anytime I'm talking to the camera, I'm only talking to one person. It just so happens there's lots of people that are just like that one person.
And the core components of that person, did you figure out that person by just putting out a bunch of content and like looking at the reaction? Like, how'd you figure the Frank part out?
So, I had one video, because when I met Daryl the first time, because I won that contest, I actually had an hour-long consultation with him. And he started going through my content to see what was like the top performing content right now. And there was two performing videos. One of them was about getting the dog pee smell on a carpet. And the other one was about, I had done a video, just one video about how to buy a manufactured home, how to buy a mobile home. And those were the two top performing videos that were still getting views after release. They were consistently getting views. And he said,
do you remember approximately like how many at the time?
Oh, I think the one video, I think it was like, I know that the dog pee video had 100,000 views,
wow.
Which I was like,
yeah,
but I mean, that's not the one I really want to go viral.
Sure.
I don't want to be the dog pee realtor. And then the other one was probably like 54,000 views, And so he was like, you have this video here about dog pee, which I'm sure that's not what you want to talk about. I'm like, no, can I erase it? He said, no. And then I said, well, and then he said, this other one is about manufactured homes. I want you to dig into that, to that person, like who's watching this, and find out a little bit more about them. And then I want you to make another video about manufactured homes. And I remember being kind of resistant at the time, because I'm like, I already made this video. I don't need to make it again. Yeah. Like, I don't know how much more I could say about freaking buying a manufactured home. Like, what? I mean, it's FHA loans. Like, I don't know.
Not many videos you can make about that, Kristina, right?
Well, little did I know. Little did I know. And so I went ahead and did it again, did the thumbnail like he told me to do. I started researching what, I dove into the actual comment section of that specific video that had already done well. And I started trying to find a pattern of the people that were watching it. I also started looking at other manufactured home channels, and there wasn't anything but home tours, nothing. So I kind of took their style of thumbnail, I created that. And then I just like tried to formulate a video for this. And so I did it the first time with the Daryl Eves way. And it was so funny because I told him this at Vidsummit. I couldn't wait to get off the plane because I was like, this guy's advice is another guru that's full of garbage. I was so incredibly ticked because I did everything this man told me to do. I re-listened to our call like 4 times so I make sure that I followed it, everything to a T. And I released it to the masses. This is it. This is gonna be my viral moment. And I think it got 77 views the first day, and I was so mad. I'm like, that's it. Another guru, garbage. Another garbage guru. Got off the plane. Couldn't wait to see him. He's sitting in the bar eating a salad, and I was like, can't wait to show him. Can't wait to show him. Pulling up my analytics, And I looked down and I went, oh, oops. Because this had been about 20 days later.
Yeah.
And it had 3,000 views. I went, put it back on the counter. I went, all right. One of the components I had forgotten is that he said that since it had been a while since I made this video, it's probably going to take some time to hit the wave of the algorithm. And he said, you'll probably start to see something within 21 days is what he told me. And that did not register in my brain.
It's pretty specific, 21 days, right?
Yeah, and it didn't register. I already knew that this guru, the one that represents the biggest guys on YouTube, gave me this advice and this was going to work. And so it was funny because we kept checking it, because I never had a moment where I could just pull it down and I'd see like another 100 views, another 100 views, and 1,000 views, and
Wow.
3,000 views. And I was like practically like, I was shaking. And then the comments are rolling in, and I'm like, I have never had, like, I'm like, is this moment? Is this the viral moment that everybody talks about? So I had 30,000 views in one weekend.
Wow.
And I had gained 1,000 subscribers that weekend. And I was like, that has never happened. So
1,000 francs, right?
1,000 francs. And so I knew from that moment on, whatever that guy told me to do, I was going to do it. And so I screenshot that because Vid Summit was over. Everybody's on that after conference high. But I went ahead and screenshot that, tagged him on Twitter. I never tweet, never in my life. But I tweeted this. I said, you know what? Your advice was right. Thank you, Mr. Eves, And then he called me. I was like, he called me on the phone and he was like, hey, I have this thing that I'm starting. It's called a channel jumpstart. I haven't had the first group go through yet. I'd really like for you to be a beta tester. Are you willing to pay for that? And I'm like, yes, I am. I totally am. And so I did. Like, that was the best decision I ever made. Best, because I'd taken so many real estate, I've been $500 to death with courses when it comes to real estate. And I already knew I think it was like the second or third week, I was like, this is worth way more than what I'm paying right now. And now, of course, the price tag is exactly what it's worth. It's very expensive right now. But when you're a beta tester, just remember, if you trust somebody and they say they want you to be a beta tester, you take that opportunity immediately.
That's unreal. And that's the whole point of why I do this show, right? Is really trying to get practitioners around other practitioners. I met a guy, actually, fun fact. I drop your name all the time. I did an episode of Prime People yesterday, and I mentioned your channel in our conversation around affordable homes, manufactured homes. I actually shouted it out this morning in a live training. Be very careful about the products they're using in 3D printed homes from our company, right? So, and I think it's the community effect is helpful when you know the right people. But I met a guy, and was the head of the Canadian Home Builders Association. Really cool dude. Puts out awesome videos. And I feel like if he knew the structure, like, he reminds me of a Roger Wakefield, but he's a builder. So like, he educates people on how to actually properly build homes. He doesn't need to do anything anymore. He's super successful. But I was like, you need to read Daryl's book. You need to contact them, and you need to go down the Roger Wakefield path, because the world needs people like that, and people that are actually sheepdogs in their industry, in my opinion. Right.
Right. So in Canada, there is a guy who actually works for the manufactured home industry. I think he just sells them. His name's Carrie Tarnow.
Okay.
Carrie Tarnow. And he should get with him, because that guy, I mean, he's traveled, he's gone to Boxable and all these different other manufactured homes and mobile homes, and
got him, found him.
Yeah, you should send him that guy, and they should get to know each other, because he's Canadian too.
Amazing. I got to see if I can get him on the Prime People podcast, because I think
he's not a realtor.
No, I know. I see that his channel. So let me do a quick screen share so I can show the people his channel so they can go find him.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
This is a beach near my house. So we have beaches in Canada. Fun fact. This is his channel. Yeah, really, really cool channel. And
how many subscribers he's at now? He's up there, man.
He is. So where is it? 197, 24 million views on his channel.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. But I see stuff like this, and I think we're doing a lot of ADUs. Like, a lot of our clients right now want to buy properties, turn them into 3-unit properties, add housing, right? Because it's important. So this guy's right up my alley. I'd love to connect with him and see if I can get him on the show.
He's on Instagram too.
Yeah.
If you're going to think about doing like ADUs and stuff, he's connected with a bunch of companies that do ADUs in Canada. So
Canada. That's amazing. It's a global village. And I think I do want to give you kind of the kudos of saying that when I see how you treat other people in your Facebook group, how I saw you treat people on Clubhouse, in the spaces I see you in, I want to encourage people out there that you can be a Kristina. Go find your Kristina. Like, you can maybe not have something completely figured out, get around the right people and implement it. And I think being a practitioner opens up doors. Like, am I wrong that when you did the thing Daryl told you to do, it probably made him turn around and go, oh, like, I tell 1,000 people to do that. She actually did it. Here's a couple more nuggets. Like, is that how the relationship developed?
I think that's true. I think that is very true because they were like we were the first group, and I was completely annoyed because I knew this was such a great opportunity that there were people in that group that never did any of it. And I'm
Yep.
like, what are you doing? And there was there was one dude that got this opportunity, this course, this first training for free, right? He got it for free. And he was all gun ho at the beginning, and then like I did think it like the third or fourth week he just drifted off, couldn't find him, like never saw him again. And then there he's whining on Facebook. I'm like, I cannot get my channel to get going, blah blah blah. I'm like, you had everything right in front of you. All you had to do was do it. Like I was so annoyed, so annoyed because there's so much crap out there,
There is.
so much garbage that people feed you. When you are given like the actual thing, like the thing that's not complete BS to do and do right. Granted, it's going to be a lot of work. There is no easy road if you're wanting to be successful. You're going to have to put the work in. And I think for some people, just like anything, that they think because they pay for it or because they've worked with the right person, there's an easy button. And when they find out it's real work, they stop showing up, you know?
Oh, without a doubt. So I got the wall of champions behind me. Some of these people I've met, some I haven't.
Mhm.
Right on there. That's Ryan Serhant. So I've
Mhm.
worked with him very closely. I met him in 2018. I was actually I poo-pooed him. Exactly what you said about Daryl. A friend of mine was like, "Hey, I just met Ryan. You have to meet him. He can teach you a bunch." I'm like, "He's in Manhattan. I'm in London. Like, what could I possibly learn from him?" And he looked like a bit of a cheeseball on the TV show. And I'm
I
like,
always thought he was the more down to earth one, but I think as the show got more popular, then he got a little more douchikins.
yeah,
You know?
well, what I found out was they actually so that when they edit the show, they can make you look however they want. And I met the
Right.
dude, and he was like a Daryl. He's like, dude, I gave him a problem. And he's like, do this,
Mhm.
this, and this. So I
Mhm.
left, and then I came back the next year and I did it. And he's like, oh, he's like, okay, now do this, this, and this. And I left, and then I came back, and like we built kind of a friendship. And I was being mentored before the course existed. What's interesting is 20,000 people through his course. There's hundreds of people in the mentorship program. I'm one of the ambassadors,
Mhm.
so I'm in there and I'm helping them with like, hey, this is what I did, and like kind of giving the
Mhm.
secrets. It is like 2% of those people that I see implement the things. It's like they want the photo op to create success for them. When I'm like, the photo op does nothing. He's good looking guy, does his thing, he's famous,
Mhm.
whatever. That does nothing for your business. You have to actually do the thing. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time and money, right?
I see so many real estate agents post a picture with Ryan Serhan,
Yep.
and I always say, "Oh, I don't know the guy on the right, but I know who you like," and I'll say their name. I'll say that I don't know who Ryan is, but I know
Yep.
who they are. Like, because I mean, honestly, it doesn't mean anything unless you're
No.
doing the stuff, you know? Like, I'm like, I don't, they get the joke, but I don't know if they get my actual intent, which is, you know, who cares that you met him? Like, what are you doing?
Well, every person, the reason I have the wall up here, there's Ken Block, the Future, there's George St. Pierre, Kobe Bryant, Lewis Hamilton. Every one of these people, the reason I have the photo is typically them not even looking at the camera directly. They're
Mhm.
looking off and they're focused on what they're doing. That's literally why I have that wall behind me. And what's
Mhm.
cool about it is most of the people that have achieved success are willing to commit to something regardless of the noise, regardless of the praise, regardless of the hate. Like they're just focused on this is what I'm doing. I want to get good at my craft. Amazing that you'll get all the praise in the world when you're doing great, and you'll get hate when you get hate, but they're so focused. And that's something you bring to the table for sure when you talk about YouTube, which is why I wanted to chat with you today.
When I started making videos, I started doing them on Facebook, and I remember like people around here are like, "Do you really want to do that?" Because I used to kind of do these like sketches,
Yep.
like I do the regular listing video, which nobody was doing that when I live in a very small town. So that was impressive. But then I would do these like ridiculous sketches where, the little girl in the back of the car where we're looking at houses or picking our nose. And I played the little girl, with my hair in braids.
That's
And like
awesome.
I did all this stuff and people were like, you really are going to turn people off. I'm like, good. Because I was tired of working with really crappy people that had no sense of humor.
Yeah.
And then they couldn't wrap their brain around that concept at all. Then when I got onto YouTube, because I saw what was happening on Facebook, I was like, I went from I could upload a video to my business account and then it got viewed on Facebook, and then they shut it down. It was pay to play. And then I'm like, why did I only get 300 views on this video? What the heck? What's
Yeah.
going on? And then I was like, I'm not paying people to watch me be in a wig, like turning on the gas stove. Like, give me a break. And I was in this real estate video group that was like huge. All the big names are in there, and they're doing the really nice, listing videos and everything.
Yep.
And I was like, well, go to YouTube. No, nope. My sphere is on Facebook. Don't do YouTube. That's just a place you store your videos.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, no. This is a great place. Oh, no. You can't build an audience on YouTube. I mean, who's going to watch videos about real estate on YouTube? It's just a library. It's just where you store your videos. It's a library. I mean, if you want to do something, you can put your listing videos or those could go on there, but you're not going to get much traction from that. I'm listening to these people that are supposed video experts in the real estate field say that. And I'm like, what are y'all talking about? So I'm like, whatever, I'm going to do my thing. And while everybody else was telling me I was stupid, and they would be like, oh, you're cute, especially some of the dudes, man. Some of the guys were just a girl in the video space. And then add real estate on top of it. People just did not like me at the beginning.
Well, it's funny because
then I proved I was right. And it was like, oh, would you like to be on my podcast?
100%.
Oh,
I put out a tweet the other day about like the amount of things that got back to me about people that mocked me in the beginning when I did short form video. Like I think I messed up my IG in the beginning because I did something called the Closers Daily, and it was a straight rip off of Gary V Daily or whatever you called it. And it was like, I'd read a contract and I'd like explain the deposit clause, and 1 minute video on Instagram. And like, I didn't blow up, but my phone would ring because people like, hey, I saw that video about this, whatever, let's work together. I'd be walking down the street. People that they didn't comment. They would say, hey, I watched your video. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And over time, like I started doing the listing videos, and I still do them, but I tell people all the time, I'm like, the listing video is a tool, but it's actually probably the least valuable tool in everything that I have on my channel, because it's for the seller and me. Typically, like agents get caught up in the ego of the listing video and making themselves look like a hero. Took me years to pivot. And actually, when we do the treatments for our videos, Peter McKinnon is my inspiration for my videos. We use cinematography, and the house is the hero. But the key is, I understand what that tool is. And I've been looking at my analytics on my main channel, the Prime one, that actually generates the business. And it's actually like, it's not even market update videos. It's not even the neighborhood tours. It's those general, the Bank of Canada just held the rate. What does that mean? And then just delivering information to everybody that's interested. And then that's it. And I find that it's fascinating that like the highly produced, expensive listing videos that we all think are the solution aren't. It's actually that, right? It's the communication between humans.
100%. All the time. Every time. And like, if you use recognizable faces, in like, there's people, you know who Barbara Corcoran is, right?
I sure do. Yeah.
Right. So she recently just came out. She was on Good Morning America, and she's like, look, like if the interest rates go down to 5%, she goes, all hell is going to break loose. And then she was like, oops, am I supposed to say that? They're like, only on Shark Tank. And she's like, sorry, but that's the truth, because she said there's no supply of homes. Yeah. So I'm now creating a video out of the clip that she had said about how she believes that home prices are going to go up another 10, 15% if it goes down. The interest rates go down 5% because we do not have a supply of homes, which is the thing that I talk about, affordability. Where affordability is going to be even worse, right? So I already know, because people connect with names they recognize, but they connect with you because you're like, okay, let me just tell you what they're really saying, because these people up here are too high to talk to, like we're never going to get Barbara Corcoran on the phone, but you and me are the people that are going to deflate and take all the nonsense out of it, and we're going to give them the true answer of what's really going on. We're going to show them what they mean by this and with the facts. So when you do that, they're like, oh man, you're a smart dude, you're a smart person, so I always suggest doing that. People like that because they want to know things, they want to know everything, but when someone else delivers all that information where they didn't have to look it up, they're like, That's a smart person.
Well, to me, it's the interpretation of data and information, right? Like that's really what we're doing. Any agent on the planet can plug you into the MLS. You find your own home, you open the door, you get paid. That's why the public hates real estate agents, is that's the bar. And that's like 60% of the industry. I
Right.
opened up the tab with Barbara Corcoran as you were talking before you said you were doing a video of it so that I could search it later, green screen it, and then talk about that fact because I believe it. When I look at what's happening with the interest rates here, the problem in Canada is they crank the rates. I understand, because they want to impact inflation. Inflation is food, energy, and housing. And energy or food and energy are still skyrocketing like 18%. Housing is the largest contributor. But the problem is now construction is coming offline. And now they're kicking the can down the road, and it's going to get worse. So I agree with Barbara. I think it's going to be a bloodbath when they stabilize rates.
Said.
Really?
That's exactly, she said it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, like 4.5 to 5% rates. The flood of people that are going to come back in the market because the rental rates are insane. And if the prices do come down, corporations and the government and investors are going to buy up the houses because the cap rates are going to be great. Then you're not living anywhere, right? So it's, conversation for another day. I'll stick to YouTube for this video. But
I actually am editing that video right now. It goes out next week.
Yeah. And you edit your own videos? I think that'd be valuable for the
people. At times. It depends. Sometimes I'll edit them myself. Other times I do have an editing group of guys that do it. They're out of Canada, matter of fact.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. I have gone through so many editors, honestly, because there are times that I'm like busy, I'm traveling. Sometimes I've been invited to speak at conferences. So I'm like, I can't get this edited. So I'll send it to somebody I had paid like top dollar. They gave them 2 weeks to edit it and they never got anything done. Never been so pissed in my life. And then like that was one time. Another time, this kid kept bothering me. Finally, I let him do it. And I was like, he couldn't, like, no. And it was expensive. I paid him. Went to the next guy. Another guy, he was messaging me on Instagram. He was messaging me on my channel. I had blocked him on Facebook. I mean, this guy was relentless. Finally, he found like my third email account. I'm like, dude, fine, take this video. Yeah. Like, I've never seen anybody work so hard to get my attention. Fine, you can do it,
Yeah.
And so he did it. And so they're my group of editors now.
That's awesome. I appreciate the hustle. Shout out to that dude.
That's what I told him. I was like, dude, if you didn't hustle that hard, I would have never, ever called you.
So I have a super hack for you. Have you read this book?
No.
Buy Back Your Time. Dan Martell. So I'll send it to you. There's one little tip in there that I would give people for working with editors. And the reason I asked you that question was I know how much you care about your process. Your thumbnail advice I shared with the builder. I shared it with Glenn Lundy the other day, like the rule of threes, these little things that you've shared. And Dan says, when you're looking to delegate to somebody, what you need to do, instead of giving them a checklist and saying, do this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and this, is what I did forever. He's like, screen record yourself doing the thing, send them the screen recording, and then have them build out the SOP from the screen recording, because then they have to write it out as they're watching it. Then you review it and you make your modifications. The Andy Warhol method was 20% strategy of Kristina Smallhorn, let the editor do the 80%, and then come in at the end and put your magic touch on it. And I think that's what I do for you. Yeah.
That's amazing. What I do. I pre-edit every single one of my videos because I want the timeline of everything I'm saying in order. Because sometimes I'll say something and the editor's not going to know if that was true or not true. But I'll like misspeak and I'm like, I'll say wasn't, but I meant to say was. And I'm like, all right, that whole section's coming out. Right. Because if you said that during a video, people would be like, that's not true. Because it wasn't. Because I
make bloopers all the time and I leave them in and I get roasted. So I just have time to deal with it.
Yeah. So I take out I do the original timeline all the way across. And then there's some things that I are important to me that they be in there, that they're shown in a certain way. And I'll add those things because it only takes me a few minutes. So that pre-edited timeline goes to my editor. So it's like a 14-minute clip, and he'll edit it down to about 10 minutes to get the O's, the ums. And I always say, add the frosting onto the cake. Like, I gave him the cake, he throws the frosting on there. You know?
I like that mentality, and I'll send you a copy of that book as well. I'm just going to make a quick note on my file here.
You've sent me, I think you sent me Atomic Habits. I think
I
you're the
did.
one.
Yeah. I always send a guest a book just because I think if there's
I
one
love
little
that.
thing that I learned from somewhere, because
I never send anybody anything.
you don't have to.
It's weird though. Like, I will do something for somebody. I will do anything for anybody at any time. But I've never have you ever met those people that are they keep track, like they're like, well, I gave you a book one time,
Oh
like I
God.
was just hoping
Yeah.
you could help me.
I forgot I said your Atomic Habits. It's funny you say that. So let me go back to what I said earlier in the episode.
Uh-huh.
I still remember being in the RV. I think COVID at the time.
Yeah.
Working on the thumbnail, and you literally took time out of your day. Like, that meant so much to me. I remember that more than any other gift. And I do think the second part of what you said is key, because I like sharing the knowledge, because I remember when I was a kid, my dad always said, like, the one thing I'll do is I'll buy you any book you want. Knowledge is something that does not go wasted, right? And that's why I like sending books more so that I can just plant a seed and then walk away, and whatever happens, happens, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't enjoy reading until I got older. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
But I figured that out later why, because I have dyslexia, and reading is a struggle. But then I realized, and anybody that's dyslexic needs to know this. Whenever you get a Kindle, you go and look at the type of font that like a book is in, right? And so it'll be easier for you to read in certain kinds of fonts than it is in others, and then the size of the font too. So you may look like a kindergartner reading a book, but at least you're reading a book. And I actually learned how to read again because of Kindles. Because I was able to I was like, oh my God. And I just started reading like crazy. But your dad and I are on the same page, because I always told my kids, you can, like, whenever the book fair was about, I'm like, yeah, go ahead, as long as they're books. Whenever we went to the store, I'm like, you can get anything that's a book. You can always get a book. And they have that. Our whole house is filled with books from the time they were itty bitty all the way up. And my kid, this is not a lie, and I just can't believe that she did this. I was trying to edit really late Wednesday night. She comes in my room and she starts talking to me about quantum entanglement. Sat here for an hour and explained it to me. And I went, I'm a freaking moron. And I made that.
That's wild.
That's my kid. She's explaining to me quantum entanglement. I have no idea what she was talking about. But I contribute that to the fact of books, because I always had them reading books, always.
It all starts with a seed. And that the other reason that I send the books is the people that are on this show are practitioners. And I know that they'll typically get something that's very different than I'm going to get from it. And we're all so unique, but I love the fact that you can plant that seed and you can water it. And in my world, the perfect world would be where we all have gardens, but we spend more time watering each other's gardens. And then, your garden's going to get taken care of because of a good community of people. The last thing I want to mention is actually around that. So I float in a lot of different ecosystems. I call myself a Ronin because nobody owns me. I'm not, beholden to them. I don't necessarily pay them to be there or anything like that. And I see a lot of people taking advantage of people. One place that people don't do that is the real estate YouTube mastermind. So I'd encourage everybody to go check out this group. This is Kristina's group. You want to give them on a high level and like how this came to be?
Yeah. So originally, very first, this is actually a true story. There was another person who I was wanting to open this group with, and they ended up taking my idea and opening up their own group. And I found out about it from Malcolm Lawson. And I was like, oh my gosh, Malcolm, are you serious? He's like, yeah, I'm already a member of that group. And I'm like, yeah, but I haven't even started. And they're like, oh no, it's over here. I was like, oh. And so I ended up starting this group, right? I started it. It was puttering along, barely doing anything, nothing. And then I called Malcolm up again. I said, Malcolm, hey, this group isn't doing anything. He's like, I'm about to start a course. I said, hey, well, he's like, do you care if I promote it? I'm like, I don't care. You can do whatever you want in there, like whatever. And so he really gets it rolling, right? Like then all of a sudden, like real estate agents are starting to move along. and we did it together. We've always done it together. He has a course, I have a course. We're both in there together. Neither one of us work for the same company. We teach our YouTube course completely different from one another, but we promote each other every single time. I'm like, people say, who's running this? Like, why do
It's
you have
confusing for people because they expect it to be like a funnel, but it's not really.
right?
It's actually a community, right?
Right. And they're like,
Yeah.
why does Malcolm have a course and you have a course? I'm like, because one's taught by Malcolm and one's taught by me.
It's not
Some
rocket
people don't
science.
like me. Even some days I don't even like me, but some
Yeah.
people really like Malcolm. But if you're looking for a kind heart and a gentle hand, you go with Malcolm. If you want the real truth and you're going to get it to whether you like it or not, that's me.
That's awesome. No, and I think it's funny because I watched you for a little bit before you even did the course where
Uh-huh.
you were kind of really thinking about it and wanting to do it thoughtfully, right? And the amount
Right.
of times people have been like, Justin, you should do this, you should do that. And
Right.
I don't want to at this point in my life just because I'm just happy doing the thing that I'm doing and just giving things away. But I look to people like you as a way of doing it thoughtfully, and you're the real deal. So everybody go check out that page. I'm going to ask you a couple rapid fire questions. I'm going to get you out of here because I know you have a busy day on
I
your
could
neck
talk
of
for
wood.
hours. Are you
I
kidding
could
me?
too. I
I
know.
love that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
First question I have for you: how has failure shaped your life?
That's the only thing that keeps me going, right? Like,
Yeah.
how many times do you fail and then you just keep going? I failed at my YouTube channel. My talk for Vid Summit was how I failed my way to 100,000 subscribers. There were so many failures along the way that I didn't understand, but I
Yeah.
failed all the way up to 100,000 subscribers, and I'm still failing to this day. Not every video I put out is a gem, you know? And like, even this last video I just put out this week, not a gem. I failed at that, but I know what I need to do to fix it for the next time. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes when you put out a video that I'm going to tell you, you already know. You already know. Like when it goes out, you're like, I hope it is good because you know you didn't put in your whole heart. And I didn't put in my whole heart on that one. I'm not gonna lie.
Everything you just said is bang on. I'm in like that content creation period where I'm actually trying a whole bunch of different things to get closer to the Frank. And I know that if I fail 100 times and I succeed once, then that's an indicator of success, right? So I think that's
Right.
a great piece of advice. What are you excited about that's new to you, given your base of knowledge? Is there anything that you're not that great at that you're learning?
Well, my newest thing, and I'm gonna do a little self-promotion here. I actually like for years I didn't do a course, and
Mhm.
Daryl Eves gave me permission to teach a watered down real estate version of the Channel Jumpstart Way. And me and his brother Joe Eves run this together.
Cool.
And I've learned so much about like marketing in a completely different way. Like I knew how to market my listings, I knew how to, create content, I knew how to do that. But this whole thing, like learning how to like create a website and how to use your lists, your email lists in a completely different way to retarget ads this way. And I mean, just mind blowing. And then I think I'm going to write a book, but I'm not going to rush and write a book. There's been lots of real estate agents recently that wrote books. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you had Chat GPT right?
I was gonna say, did you write it? Because yeah, you can definitely see a lot of that out there right now.
But I'm going to do it. I'm going to take my time and actually write a book that makes sense. That will be really helpful to people. And so that it's actually for YouTube for real estate. So
Well, I'm gonna hold you to that because you'll definitely be back on the
it's
show
going to take
again.
me forever.
The last most important question, Kristina, you made time for my audience. So my platform, albeit not as big as yours, is yours. Do you have a message or anything for my audience that you wanted to share before you leave?
I just want everybody to never look at anybody you work with in your office as competition. Everybody is a potential collaborator. You do not need to like cut their throats in order to get that sale or to get that information. Everybody is potential for collaboration. That is the one thing I do not like about our industry. You can always want to reach certain goals, but you should never look at somebody as such competition that you will do anything to drag them down.
I love that. You can look at YouTubers the same way. So thank you, Kristina. I'm going to get to work on my channel and definitely be checking out the Facebook group and everybody else. I'd encourage you to do the same. Smash the like and subscribe button. If you got any value, go to her Instagram, blow up her DMs. I don't know how often they'll actually show
Not
up to her.
Instagram. Do not do the Instagram. Do Facebook.
Okay.
That don't I took me 5 days to answer you. I don't check my Instagram.
That's right. All right. We'll go to Facebook and go bug her there. And again, jump in the comments if you got anything. See you, Kristina. Take care.